So the Prestige poster is gone. It was knocked down in an unfortunate accident. It is lying somewhere. Hold on. I don't actually know where it is, but, you know, he's somewhere out there, so I figured Christopher Nolan needed a replacement, and Dark Knight's in my room, so there's your Batman Begins poster. Anyway, I got around to seeing A Star is Born tonight. I had planned on seeing it Thursday. Today is Tuesday. I saw that there was a showtime of it, just one at a theater very far from me, so I made the trek across town to go and see this movie because, in my opinion, this is the official kickoff of award season. Now, that's not to say no awards contenders have come out up until this point. I would disagree with that, with things like The Wife and Black Panther and Black Klansman. But this is, in my eyes, the kickoff to the season. The first Oscar movie to come out in this October through December/January kind of release span. And it had been hyped up a lot from Venice and from Toronto. People have been talking very highly of this film. There's a lot that it has going for it, a lot of potential for Oscar categories that people have been discussing and wondering whether it will have chances at winning certain things or being just in general nominated in certain things. And I'm finally here to be able to tell you what I thought of the movie and whether I think that this movie has shots in those categories or not. So, to get the broadest possible summary out in the open to begin, I thought this movie was great. I think that the hype is very well deserved for it, and I think it is an incredibly well-crafted film that highlights the talents of a lot of incredibly strong, creative individuals all across the board when it comes to filmmaking in general. I don't think it's a perfect movie. Truth be told, I'd actually like to see the other Star is Borns to see how their plots play out, because that's one of the more prominent issues I had with it, but it's still not very prominent, but I'll talk about that later on. For now, I want to gush about the movie a little bit, because I do think it's a very well done film. The first thing that people are discussing, I think, and foremost, is the performances. Bradley Cooper is stellar in this film. He hasn't done a live-action role in a good bit, or at least a very prominent live-action role in a good bit. You know, he's been doing Groot for the Rocket for the MCU, and he really brought it back with this movie. He proves to us that he's a very natural actor, and I think that now that he sort of has this creative freedom, you know, to really portray this character and to understand all of his flaws, but also all of his tics that make him so charming in a sense, in a rugged sense, I think it absolutely came across, and I think he's definitely going to get a nomination. And then you got yourself Lady Gaga, who is the talk of the town. Now, I'm not going to lie. Her first scene was rocky. It's in a bathroom, and she's, like, breaking up with a guy. It's a very odd scene, actually. It seemed a little out of place, to be honest with you, but she's in, like, a bathroom, and she's breaking up with someone or something, and she walks out, and she, like, gets down on the floor and yells, "Fuck! Man!" or something like that, and it was a little weird, and I didn't like it, and I was going, uh-oh, is this going to be one of those performances that's just overhyped and is decent? But no, she is absolutely incredible in this movie. Similarly to Bradley Cooper, she proves that she's got this knack for naturality. She can really portray the raw emotions of a human being that make you feel them as well, because I think that the entire purpose of this film is to take you on a journey, right? To take you on this roller coaster of these two characters from the start of a relationship to the benefits and the issues of this relationship and to where it ultimately ends up, which I'm obviously not going to talk about for spoiler purposes. But I think another thing that this movie really has going for it is sort of the structure and the way things go, and that's the thing I like about it in terms of plot. There are certain things I don't love about it in terms of plot, but the way that the movie moves in general, I think, is pretty fantastic, because not only does the relationship develop in a very natural way, it never feels rushed, but it also never feels dragged out. It's kind of the perfect pace. The movie's not too long, but it's not too short. It's 2:15. It's right between sort of the minimal time some people would consider to be like a really solid feature-length film, and then, you know, that 2.5-hour mark where you're starting to push lengthy, right? And I think that was a very good choice on their part, because you don't want to outplay certain things. You don't want it to get boring or disinteresting, and you don't want to no longer care about these characters. They keep it condensed enough to the point where you're seeing the really good parts of it, and you're really understanding the key components of this relationship. And while they're developing that relationship, they're also developing the characters. So, you know, you have Bradley Cooper with his on and off alcoholism and how that impacts him as a person, and he portrays that in a stellar fashion. And then you have Lady Gaga, who, when she sort of blows up after performing with Bradley Cooper, goes through sort of this transformation into pop star, which is sort of a commonality in music today. I think most people would agree with that. And not only does the story manage to get her to that place in a way that you completely would see coming, and you go, yeah, that makes 100% sense that she ended up like that, and the way that it goes, I mean, it's just the way it is in real life. But I mean, the way she portrays it is just flawless. I mean, you totally see how her character changes in this complete sense, and how she's able to sort of, I won't say revert back, but how she's conflicted about it in a sense. She knows it's not necessarily the right thing for her, but it's how she's become, and she portrays that flawlessly. And the, like, I don't know, I think the structure of the film was very well done, and it really places you there in a fashion that I don't think many other films could do. And you know, you've also got all the technical aspects of the movie, right? You've got the cinematography, which is fantastic, the sound design, which is incredible, and is pivotal to a movie like this, and I thought it was excellent. You've got the score and the soundtrack, which are both really well done. The songs are very well written, and they represent the film and the point that it's at tonally in a very, very strong way. The production design is great. The attention to detail is pretty fantastic. And there's one thing other than sort of Lady Gaga's stealing performance, and for those of you asking, is she going to win the Oscar? Probably. She probably will. I know Sam Elliott is on a lot of people's lists for supporting actor, too. He's not in very much of the movie. He is not a very heavy force. I'd say he's in 5 or 6 scenes. But when he is on screen, man, he is on fucking screen. He is absolutely incredible in this movie. I've always been a Sam Elliott fan, ever since I saw that big guy over there. I've, you know, loved just watching him play the classic cowboy, you know, whether it's as a joke in Parks and Rec, or, you know, it's legit in that one show that he's in that's name is escaping me presently, but it's sort of his own show. Or like The Last Action Star, or The Last Star, or like something, I don't remember what it's called, but I've always loved Sam Elliott, but he really puts on a performance in this movie. He's not given a lot of screen time, but you still really understand where he comes from, and what his character is, and why he's doing what he's doing, and how he's doing that. And I thought Sam Elliott put on a very quiet and condensed, but very impactful and powerful performance. So that's the kind of performance the Academy really likes, is the subtle, sort of laid-back, sideline kind of supporting performance that comes out and knocks you off your feet when he's in there. So I think it's definitely plausible that he'd be nominated, but I wouldn't call him a Sherlock just because of a lack of screen time, and because the movie's so heavily centered on Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. But the other thing other than that performance that I think is what really drives this film and its success is Bradley Cooper's direction. This is not a movie that you would see and assume is crafted by a first-time director. This is crafted by somebody who has this clear understanding of film and its composition, and how to set up a tone, and, you know, how to shoot things in a visually, aesthetically pleasing manner. how to make every shot count, how to really put the right amount of thought into every scene, how to never just be doing something for the sake of doing something. Every shot has a purpose, every movement has a purpose, every pan, every track, everything has a reason for being there. He's clearly a man with a vision, especially for this movie, whether it's just a dialogue scene or it's something more complex. I mean, everything when it comes to the direction of this film is pretty spectacular, and he'll absolutely be nominated for Best Director, and he absolutely should be. Whether he should win or not, I don't know, because I haven't seen the other movies just yet, but I mean, he did an absolutely fantastic job, especially with my favorite scenes in the movie, and what I really walked away from this thing with are the scenes on stage. When either of the two of them are performing, I mean, you really, really feel like you're there. Every decision that he makes truly puts you on stage in front of this massive crowd, and I think the sound design helps largely with that. The cinematography is huge on that, but I mean, you can tell he talked to the DP and he made sure that every little thing was organized perfectly so that the shot would look exactly how he wanted it to look, and it all feels like you're up there with him. I mean, the whole movie, like I said, its whole purpose is to take you on this journey with him, to make you feel like you're there, like you're an observer on this relationship, and you feel every heartbreak, you feel every stab, but you also feel every great moment, and you feel the rush of being on stage. I saw this movie with somebody who was very involved in the music industry, and she sort of confirmed my suspicion that yes, that is what that feels like to be on stage, and you know, the chills that you can feel, and just the blaring sounds and the cheers from the crowd and the lights and the strobes and everything. I mean, it's all there, and he really puts it together in a fascinating fashion. I only have two issues with the movie, and they're both pretty minuscule. One is certain elements of the plot are relatively predictable. I like the structure of it and how it moves, but there are certain elements of it that I think you will see coming. I did predict how the ending would go. I did not predict how it would happen, but I did correctly assume what would be the ultimate result, I guess. I would like to see the other 3 Star is Born movies. I'd like to know how similar the plot is, if it ends the same way, if it plays out the same. I mean, I know it for sure it doesn't play out in the same way, just for, you know, certain modernistic things that are in this film, but I would be interested to see how those play out. And the reason that complaint is so minuscule is because everything that they build on top of that is so much. It distracts from that so much. I mean, the script in its dialogue and character work alone is so good that you're not paying attention to that. I mean, one of the biggest things about it is, you know, when you're watching a movie, generally you're able to picture the script on paper. You're able to see the lines of dialogue and see the stage direction, or whatever you want to call it, or all that good stuff, but you lose yourself with this movie, and that's a sign of great acting, great writing, and great directing, is when you're not able to see that script on paper, when it just feels like people having natural conversation, when it actually feels like there are real people on the screen that you're watching. That's when you've done a really successful job as a director, and as a writer, and as an actor, and all of the above. I mean, you know, I was never watching this and going, oh, that was an awkward line, or oh, that was a weird portion of dialogue. I was always sitting there going, these are the characters having a natural conversation that fits their characteristics. The only other issue I had were certain editing choices, because it's odd, because there are also editing choices that I loved and I think were really, really great, but there are like some weird choppy cuts in the first act of this movie. Primarily, it sort of stops after that, but just like cuts that are too noticeable, like things that would make you go, oh yeah, we just cut. You know, like you should never notice that. You should always be like, we're moving, unless it's intentional, and it's not intentional in this movie. It's little mistakes, I think, but they're so little and they're so infrequent that it's not really an issue. It was just a little something that I noticed. Overall, I thought this movie was pretty fantastic. I'd throw it a solid 8 out of 10. I'm seeing it again Thursday, because I bought tickets to see it Thursday yesterday, and then saw the showtime tonight, and then on a just kind of instinctive note, bought tickets so now I have tickets for Thursday again. So I'm going to see it again Thursday, maybe tweet my second reactions to it, and then Friday I'm going to see Venom, which would just be a fucking ride, but anyway, I want to know what you guys thought of A Star Is Born. Please let me know in the comments below. For an Oscar wrap-up, if you want to know where it's going to be in picture, it's going to be in director, it's going to be in actor, it's going to be in actress, it's going to be in screenplay, and it's going to be in a very solid amount of technical awards, including something like original song. We'll probably win that category. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Keep an eye out for new videos coming soon, including my First Man review next week, and I will see you all next time.